Welcome back to Irish Outlaw Garage. If you watched the last video, you know that I had to order new pistons. Not exactly an expense I wanted, but for this one we'll do it because we drive it daily. That's just how it goes sometimes. Well, this here's your timing cover on an AMC, oil pumps, and the timing cover. Now this pan, I've got it soaking right now. It actually has a load of metal in it. So even though I just put this in, we're going to take it out and put a new one in, because I guarantee you when I get in here there'll be something in it. Unless the filter caught most of it, I hope, but let's see. As I suspected, metal got in the oil pump, and it looks like we saved it in time. It didn't hurt the housing. She's bad. That was a brand new oil pump, man. Right there you can see the big old chunk out of the damn oil pump. The rest right there and right there, yeah, it's all over. Junk. I shouldn't have to rebuild anything. It still looks good. Doesn't catch your finger. I have to take some emery cloth in the inside of there or something, clean her up a bit. Not supposed to do that, but that's what we're doing. Now be careful with the spring in there. Pop out and hit you in the face. That'd happen. Oh, red spring. I am making a mess for a reason, because I want to see what's all in there. Oh yeah. There's metal in there. When I first rebuilt this plunger would not slide out. And it still won't slide out. Why are you being this way? Easy way too is just blow air to the other end. There she is. Clean her off. Clean her off. Boom. Yep, we'll have to wash that out real good. A little bit of antifreeze in there. That's probably from whenever I changed it. Water got down in the pan. Not good, but could have been a lot worse. We caught it in time. All we can do is catch things in time. Ricochet. She's still good. I just put that on before power torque. Hard to find. Expensive. Okay. So, got timing cover cleaned up. Got the oil pump housing cleaned up. It doesn't look to be any worse than it was whenever I put it together the first time, so I think we're just going to go with it. Damn. So my glasses. Can't see with them on, can't see with them off. There's that. If you want to see me rebuild this on how to rebuild it, it's back a few, I don't know, back when I was getting the thing ready for power tours, so you can do that. So let's just put some on this little dude right here on the inside. And we'll just throw this in just like this. You don't have to be this messy. Now there's two little T marks on here, and I was always told they had to be timed, but I don't see how that makes a difference, but we'll put them together anyway. Just like that. Then we'll take these, we'll spin it, get the lube separated. Oh yeah. She's getting lubed. I'll probably throw some more in there. What? I got another thing of this somewhere. I can find it. Yeah, I don't, some people say there's such things too much. I don't think so. I change my oil pretty regularly. Make sure you get some on the gears on the top, because that actually rides on that. It's all about the clearance, Clarence. You're going to be tempted to throw some RTV on this. Don't. It's about clearance. This is all you need right here. Had her upside down. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Crisscross pattern, just like everything else. Just get it. These two over here, though, I would go ahead and tighten. I'd say we're good. Timing, cover, and oil pump done. There. It's gonna sit nicely. It's not warped. It sits on there nice. Yay, water pump. I don't really like doing this now, but I got nothing else to do because we're waiting on pistons. There. Water pump installed with crappy old bolts. Now I just gotta clean them up. Yay, these are fun. And there's dowel pins, just like so. Make sure you don't leave any in your water jackets. Come on. Just like that. Timing cover hole is covered. Yes sir, yes sir. That's it. Now we just gotta wait on pistons. It's always something. Well, it's time. Pistons are in. My buddy Dean got the pistons on the rods. It's time to stick this motor back together, and we're going to do it today. I want to be done. You've seen everything tore down. I got a couple cylinders that aren't the happiest, but I'm not a perfectionist at this because we drive these every day. This ain't something that's going to sit in the garage or just run laps around a racetrack. So I basically do what's called a filling station rebuild. If you watch me on some of the stuff, I haven't finished them all, but the engine in Blanche, filling station rebuild, man. Get it out, get it built, get it back in, drive it. And I've been driving it like crazy. It's doing just fine, okay? It don't have to be perfect. So, let me show you what I got. All right, got my rings all set up. This would be your compression. This is your scraper slash secondary, you know, oiler ring slash compression ring, kind of helps. And then your oil rings. They're all right here. Engine Tech, these, before you go going crazy, made in the US of A. So I don't want to hear any crap saying I need to use anything else. There's my rod bearings. They're right there. These were made in Israel. Might as well be America. So here's our pistons. Got brand new pistons on rods, on the original rods, and they look fantastic. These are what are they? Silverlights. Nothing fancy, nothing special. They don't have to be, guys. This is just a car we're going to drive, right? I did pick me up some blue towels because these white ones, you know, they're good. They work when you're cleaning stuff off, but I figured out that on Blanche's engine, I'd never used those before, and I tried using them to clean cylinders and journals and stuff, and they flake apart and they'll get all over, and then you got to use an air gun, and who knows what's coming out of your air compressor. I got all my pistons over there, got my kit for all my gaskets there, all my bolts there. I got to clean those yet, but we ain't near ready for that. All these I'm going to clean as I go, okay? That way I don't clean them and they're just sitting here collecting dust. I'm going to clean them right before I put them in. Now let me show you what I got on the engine, okay? Now this is just one cylinder that I've cleaned. I cleaned that up with brake clean and its own rag. That's right. As hack as I am, I still use one rag per cylinder, okay? So I cleaned this up I use a separate rag to clean that crank journal down there. It's clean. And then I go back over this with a new rag with WD-40. That'll also get whatever dirt's left, and it coats it with WD-40 so you do not get flashing rust, okay? Rust, flashing, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna do this to every single hole. Not just do them all and then throw them all in. No, clean one at a time and put them in if you're in an environment like mine, okay? I just got done working on my semi. The place is a mess, but I got to get this done. So we're going to clean every cylinder one at a time as we put the pistons and rings in the motor, okay? And I can show you some of the bad spots. I don't know if you can really see in there, but I've got a couple bad spots. And you know what? We're just going to have to go with it because, well, my god dang, there it goes. See there? It's got some pitting in there from when it sat. You can actually see the impression of the oil ring. The connector ring, whatever the hell that thing's called, the spring. You can see it in there. I did get that one clean. But that's just gonna have to stay, guys. That's just how it is. So, let's get some pistons going. Alright guys, here's what I do. Now I know I had these cleaned. I cleaned all these before I sent them to the machine shop to have the pistons. And the reason they went to the machine shop is they are a press-on. You have to heat up the rod and get it all on there. So that's why some other ones don't have that. Some of them got the little clip, and that's fine too. But he only charged me about $80 to do this, so it wasn't bad. Now I have this pre-cleaned up, and if you don't have it cleaned up, if you're using the old pistons, just spray it off good with brake clean, I would say, or something, mineral spirits, anything. Just clean them off good. And then just wipe them down with a good rag, get them nice and clean. And if you're going to double clean them, go ahead and blow them off, and if there's anything residual. But I've already cleaned it all up. It's nice and clean. Piston's nice and clean. Wipe this off. There, a little bit of brake clean on a rag, and just go through and wipe them off. You don't want any oil or residue in there because, hey, anything underneath that bearing that ain't ready at startup could possibly cause the bearing to rotate in its spot, whether it has a tang or not. And just make sure all the holes are clean. You ain't got no gunk and crap, and as long as the majority of it's off, right? Got our caps, nuts, everything is clean. Piston's clean. Now I'm gonna put the damn rings on it. Alright, we got our number one piston. Ready? I always just called this a spring. You guys can call it whatever you want. Third groove. Put it on there. This one you can just rotate around it. It won't hurt a dang thing. Just make sure you don't drop piston or anything, because that would suck. And also, you'll see, you probably saw it in another video, one of my older, for this build. This groove here, especially the main one, you want to make sure that those are clean. Use an old piston ring or something, clean them out. Luckily, I got brand new pistons, so I don't have to deal with that. But anyway, they're nice and clean. This thing rotates really good. Just make sure it rotates. Find your edge. This is, your starting edge right here. And then you want to take your locker ring, is what I call them. You guys may call it something else. But you want to find where it goes together. And you do not want to line this up with that. And that's fine. These go on either way. Some of them may be different, so check. But you want to make sure that it go on. Just rotate it around the piston like so, till you get all the way around it. Man, it's so nice doing this on new pistons. Although it was expensive. Well, don't let a little 304 fool you. They're expensive to build, okay? So I know where my edge is on that bottom one. I know where the edge is on the spring, the oiler. So you get you another one, and just make sure you don't put it right on. You can make it a quarter, 3/4, whatever you want to do. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. I just go like at a quarter at a time, or sometimes a little more. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. Boom, look at that. Rotates, spins, does everything it needs to do. Okay? Now, number 2. This is your scraper ring. Some people call it some other things, but make sure it don't have a dot or a laser mark. Usually, depending, I know with engine tech, a dot means that goes up. Hopefully the camera will come in and pick that up. Maybe not. I don't know. It won't do it. But anyway, trust me, it has a dot. So the dot goes up. Here's the thing. Some people will tell you just rotate her on there. No, don't. I don't care what anybody says. You do not just rotate that cast ring on this piston, okay? You're going to possibly bend it, break it, make it untrue. The ring itself is designed to flex in and out like that, okay? So what you do is you buy you one of these cheap little tools, okay? And it goes on here like this. So I'll give you an example here. I won't keep it on the piston. See that? That allows you to spread it. It'll spread just enough, okay? Just enough. And then you just put her across it. Just like that. Spread her out just enough. Pull it down with your thumb. Boom. Done. Done. No harm, no foul. And you want to do the same thing with the #1 piston. Ring. Gotta say ring or somebody will come at me. Which one will this have? Will it have a laser mark or will it have a dot? This one has nothing. And you can clean these if you want. It's up to you, but they're pretty clean when they come. They got oil on them already. This is just like the 400. The 400 Ford didn't have a dot on it either or anything that was, but you just spread that sucker out, get your thumb up there, pull it over the top of the piston, just like that. Done. Piston done, okay? Now, when we put these in there, some people will tell you they need to be, you know, evenly spaced, this, that, and the other. And that's kind of true at startup, but while the motor's running, these things are constantly spinning. They're going to meet each other at some point, but I suggest, you know, keep them half to 3/4 or be a quarter because it's a circle dummy. Keep them halfway apart. Just make sure they're off from the ones on the oiler and clamp her down and stick her in. Now let's stick this in. Let me show you how I do it. Got my piston in hand, right? WD-40. This is what I use, okay? Some people may do it different. My dad always used it when he'd rebuild his tractors. This was what he used. And what I'll do is you got your piston pin down in there. I'll take and I'll spray a little WD-40 down there in that piston on the pin there, just like that. I know it's clean. Then you do that. Spray a little bit on the edges here, just like that, so it gets down in there. Take it and rotate it, and that WD-40 will work its way around in there. That gives it extra lubrication to start up and whatnot. I will take WD-40 and spray the outside of the piston, in the rings, in everything. It's just best practice. You can use oil, but I don't. I've always used WD-40. WD-40 science stuff helps seat the rings. Get them good and lubricated. I put them just to where it's under the skirt, because when you first put that in there, it'll pop, you know, and it'll go right in there. Make sure you got plenty on here. Some people don't like these things. I think they work great. Just like that. Nope, now I need to tighten it up. See? It's easier to adjust on the outside. There we go. When it comes to the bearings, I got this all clean and dry. You got your tab. A little tab on there like there. I don't know. What is this thing? There it is. Ah, she's starting to focus in. Right there. See it? Yeah. So that goes right here. Get it down in there. Slap it down. I personally do not like to touch the bearing with my fingers because I don't know what my greasy ass hands will do to it. Fresh bearing. Okay? We'll do that to the other one, and then I'll put you in front of the motor. We'll slam that piston down in there. Alright? I already got my other side there for your cap, your bearing. I've already got it on there, cleaned it, cleaned this, put it on there. Set that right there on a nice clean area, like my dirty ass. We got this soaked down with WD-40. Got the clamp on right, it's good and tight. Rings are collapsed, that's great. The other thing you want to do is get you some fuel line, whatever fits yours, whether it be 5/16 or 3/8. This is 5/16. Get it on there so you don't scratch your journals when it's coming through. And then clean the bearing that goes on your cap. Put it on your cap, get it ready. Then we get to start to pop them in. Okay, now I'm going to get your assembly lube, which is not cut off. That's great. Again, I've used this stuff for so long that it just works great. There you go. Get this like good. I mean, it don't need to be a ton. Just enough because I am going to pre-oil this, but it does help. Smear around. Now here's the thing, y'all. I personally will throw some more WD-40 on this thing because it's dry. You don't want it going in dry. See that little arrow right there? That's to the front of the engine. We're going to throw this down in there. Just let it sit for just a second. Boom. Okay. Rule of thumb. Make sure your crank is at the bottommost position of this cylinder. So when this cylinder is supposed to be all the way down, make sure it's right where it needs to be. Then you can hammer this in. You can grab it with your fingers and shove it down to where it seats perfectly on the journal. Okay? Grab your El Kabong, which this one's disgusting. Got it. My Lord. Must have been working on a semi. We got a good set. Your piston's straight, clamps tight, and because of these hoses on here, I can grab the rod just like this. Now what I do is I pull down on it as it's going. That helps it because your rings need the help getting in the cylinder. So I just, and this is a lot smaller than that 400, but as long as you're straight this way, boom, she's in. Looks good too. And see, I can show you this right here. Give me 1 second, I'll bring you in here. Public service announcement, I'll show you. So this is why you put the rubber on it. There's my piston. It's in there, mostly straight. Okay? So here's your journal. And look how far that come down. The end of the rod bolt stud is about right here, but look how this goes right on each side of that journal, and it'll follow it all the way down. I can probably push it with my hands. Yeah, see? Well, let me grab the El Kabong, and I probably won't even need to help this along. You can see where I'm hopping on it. Look at that. It's guiding it right on it. Right on it. I didn't have to do anything. Boom. Seated. See? It put that sucker right on there. That's why you use the rubber or the, you can buy the fancy installers, but we don't need it. Alright, so we get our cap. There's our number 1, because that's the one we're doing. Now the other thing is before you put your studs on, your stud nuts on there, you want to make sure you have some lube on the stud, okay? So take whatever you got excess from your finger and put it on the stud. That'll make sure you do not get a false torque reading. You know, try not to get dirt or anything like that, but filling station rebuild, y'all, nobody gives a shit about dirt. So, I'm really trying to stop my cussing, but it's hard to do. If you can't tell, I'm really excited to do this because I love throwing a good engine together, and I know this one's going to be a good one. Got one. We're going to throw this on. Oh yeah, I love building motors, especially old iron engines. I just love them. Even when, you know, this thing ain't going to make a whole lot of power, it's just a little 304. I think, you know, you're probably getting up there in the 200 horsepower range with what I'm building, but maybe 200 horsepower. I'd love to dyno it. Might have to do that. Anyway, that is a 1/2 inch. So, get my ratchet, and we're not going to tighten them tight. We're just going to get them hand tight like such. Even with it hand tight, you should be able to kind of move that rod back and forth a little bit, because they will move on there. And I just seen a mouse the size of a cat just went running right in front of the camera. You missed it. Okay. 28 foot-pounds. Doesn't sound like a lot, does it? 28. Do them again, make sure. And that's it. And I'll go over them all again. Once they're all in, you crank it because things move. I'm going to retorque the crank, main caps, everything. Okay, so it's become a tradition that Zeppy gets to knock in a piston on every motor. This is number 5, and we're going straight in. Now you tell me, is that in there right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright. Get the, what is it called?
El Capone.
The El Capone. Go! Keep going. Give her a whack. One more. One more. Keep going. You're good. There you go. Alright. Bang her the rest of the way. Actually, you could probably just put your hand on top, remember? Put your hand on top. One of them on top. There, now bang on it. You probably just shove. Ready? Watch this. Alright. She's together. Everything went together great. I will tell you one thing, and this is, I always check everything. I may not show it on here, but I do. And on a rod, oil goes into the journal through the crank into the piston, you know, into your rod bearing, right? And then it has to escape. So it comes, there's a little indention on these right by a stud, right? So I'm going through and I'm going making sure they're clean. And I already cleaned this out, but I thought I'd show you how particular I am about this. I went through every one of those and scraped them out. I had done it once before. But the number 1 had this. If it'll focus. Come on, focus in on it. It ain't wanting to focus, so I'll make it focus. Maybe you don't want to. It's not going to. But you can see that little thing on my finger right there. That little piece of metal was stuck where oil passes out of the bearing and goes out the side of the rod. That's a little bitty piece of metal from a bearing, probably something, and it was, yeah, it was in there. So just keep that in mind. Be careful. It turns out pretty good. Nice and smooth. Nothing's getting caught. There's no anything. It's pretty good. Cam's down there getting nice and lubed up. I can see that. That's a good thing. I think about right there is about top dead. We'll get that harmonic balancer on there and that'll tell us right away. But yeah, pistons are in. Now comes the part that makes me nervous, when you start putting the pan on and the heads, because that's when you're closing it up and then you're done. Once it gets that far, then you know that's the nervous part, and then whenever you start it, break in the cam, I get really nervous. So alright, we'll move along here, maybe clean up that pan. I'll get that harmonic balancer on there. Little things. Double checked all my torques. We're good. Evidently 72 to 75 on a 304 is 28 foot-pounds on your crank, on your rod bolt, rod nuts, your caps. You get it. And then 76 up is 33. Oh, whatever. Alright, so I got the surface cleaned up good with the high-speed sandpaper. Yeah, we got our head gaskets, our head's all cleaned up. I got the surface all cleaned up both sides. I went through and put, Jesus, who's calling me now? Cranked her around, put some more WD-40 in the cylinders. And then bring her back to top dead and wiped it down good with some brake clean. Don't spray it on there, you put it on a rag, you weenie. Got our head gaskets here, I've already checked. And these are, either way, they're exactly the same, either way. But I've double checked my fitment, and they are perfecto. I've already cleaned up the bolts. I'm reusing the bolts, guys. I'm not going to do that. And as always, copper gasket. It helps with the sealing whenever the engine comes to heat, does its heat cycles. But my dad always told me, that's what we're going with. Don't need a lot. Always use this on my head gaskets because I don't use anything fancy. I don't use a fancy type of head gasket. I just use what's available. I'm not all crazy about the performance side of any of that. We just make them run. And I do that on my intake gaskets too, especially on valley pans. They need it the most. Heave! Whoa. Missed the gasket. It's all good. Right on the pins. And where's my bonger? Elka bongs. Pin's tight. She's on. Head bolts. These are all clean. We can use engine oil or assembly lube. I got assembly lube available right here, so that's what we're using. Boom. So, how do we want to put them in? I say we just put them in with a gun tight, and then we can torque them. This Bauer has absolutely no power, like none. It's garbage. All I'm doing is bringing them down to the body. And whenever we do this is just a lot easier to sit here. And I don't have a damn one of them. I don't have one. Torque specs on this are 110. You're supposed to start with 80. Yep, I got them all. So the next one I believe is 100. Let me double check. 14. 14 head bolts. Okay. Not bad at all. Alright, let me get that other one on there. Alright, the heat's on, so I got the heads on, got the block all cleaned up, I got her upside down, got the pickup tube in, used some silicone on there, that'll help it a little. I got her all cleaned up, she's ready to rock and roll as soon as I get this pan. And then the paint for the motor won't actually be in until Wednesday. So I did, however, get the intake and look at that. Sorry about the heater, but it's getting cold and I needed this stuff dry, so. But I didn't buy a new intake, I'm just gonna use that old torquer, it's a good intake. And there's my pan. And I'm just using this stuff right here, it's what I used on Blanche. Works great. So, yeah. Anyway, that may be it for now, because I'm not real sure, but we'll see. I need to clean up some bolts. Waiting on parts to soak. Everything I need, engine's almost together. Just a few more things to do. But while I'm letting things soak, I thought, why not bring out the color in you, girl, huh? So, a lot of people don't like using this stuff. I do. I've already done the intake, oil pan. Now it's time to do the engine. Woo-wee. Yeah, she's gonna look real good when I'm done. All right. Now let's just put the rest of the motor together. Morning. Engine's painted. Figure it's gone. Why? Because it's starting to itch. So it'll grow back. It's fine. Anyway, let me show you what I've done so far. you can see it's beautiful paint, and what I used was this right here. This is the same stuff I used on Blanche's engine. It was a blue metallic, and this stuff is sticking and it does real well. It's a primer and a paint, and it works good. Which, by the way, almost perfectly matches the 1969 390 in the Javelin, or you could say the AMX, whatever. But yeah, look at that, isn't that beautiful? But anyway, a couple things I've done. Got my new dipstick in. This one actually fit a later model 304, and I had to grind down part of it, and I used some silicone in there, but she's in there tight, so she's good. Getting ready to put the pan on. She's all painted up. I did get my stuff in oil there, and yeah, might have had some overspray. That's too bad. Anyway, my lifters are sitting in oil. All the bubbles are gone. They've been in there for a couple hours. It's, you know, whatever. But we need to get these lined up and gooped up and get this pan on this motor. She's ready. So there we go. All in. Just enough squish. You know, you don't want to like gouge them down there with an impact, but you want it to squish a little. I could have cleaned these bolts up a little bit better, and I still might run a brush across them. Maybe there was some of that silver paint on them, or green for that matter. Not like anybody's going to see that, but okay. Bottom end complete. Let's get to the top. Alright, says 19 foot-pounds. Ain't a lot, but that's what it is. Alright, there it is. Woo. So I'm getting ready to put this intake on here too. I got the valley pan that I only use for like 10 minutes, so I'm going to reuse it, it's fine. But the bolts that I brought out of this thing are straight garbage, so I need to run to town and get some proper bolts for it. Pretty much that, and I'll get something for the valve covers because I really don't have any nice bolts for it too. Might as well put something nice on it. It's the top of the motor, y'all. Gotta see it. So I'll be back in a little while. Alright, got some new bolts for the valve covers. Everything's caught up. Already filled an oil filter, spun it on. Before we go putting the intake on this thing, we need to fill it full of zinc, fill it full of oil now, and then we'll prime the oil pump. So there's this. Down in all the holes. That. I mean, full clock. Wish it was this easy to change oil and everything. Okay, I got her full of oil, full of zinc. The oil filter has oil in it. And what I did was I took the distributor that was in this thing and I broke it all down, ground this part down so I could get my drill on the end of it. That way I can get the oil moving. I'll show you, it's not real hard. There she goes. Whoa! I forgot to plug that. My bad. Yeah, she's definitely getting oil everywhere. Everybody's getting oil, they're happy. Oh yeah. That's all it is. And I just wallered her down. I can do better. I was in a pinch. Alright. So, now we'll get this sucker cleaned up. Let's get that intake on there. So I got my valley pan here. Nothing wrong with it. Still like brand new. Was able to save it. It's fine. But I do think the one thing that I am going to do on this one, since I'm reusing it, is I am going to put silicone around every one of these, just to give it, not a lot, just enough to give it something to adhere to, because normally I would just take, some copper coat, spray down, and I just use RTV around the edges, but I'm going to put it around all of them on this one, I think. Okay. They even put it around the bolt holes because they leak oil, believe it or not, on these. I did not know that, but they do. Okay. Alright, so she's pretty well done. I'm just making sure these are all good and torqued good, way too much. But I honestly don't think I'll have a problem here. She's pretty snug. Crisscross pattern, y'all. These two, these two, these two, these two, these two, these two. That's simple. Boom! Intake on. Valve covers. Other than a few things to tidy up, I am going to get a new flex plate, because the teeth on that one, starter teeth, the ring, they're just chewed all to hell, so we're going to get a new one of them. I'm just going to tidy up some stuff. Let me show you what's left. Well, there she is, folks. The 304. It's Javy's original engine. She'll need some cleaning up, where I got some stuff in places that don't need to be there. We get some plugs in it. I did get the distributor in it. All these bolts are in except this one, because I'm painting the little holder that the Javelins had in older models, and it holds this to the engine on here. But I did find at my Rural King they had some grade 8s, blue colored. I don't know if they're, but I wasn't gonna put them old ones back on it. And the ones that came, you could buy at the parts store, was ridiculous. I bought a whole damn bag of them for half of what it cost me for new ones at the parts store. They'll be fine. But yeah, this is all in there nice and snug. No more leak there. Shouldn't have any leak anywhere. I do got a new fuel pump we're gonna put on it. And yeah, I probably could have painted that oil pan the same way, but I'll tell you what, with it being light colored, if I got a leak, I can see it. Cool can everybody else, but who cares, right? Anyway, I would call this case finished for the most part. Now, a lot of this stuff we're going to put on right before we put the motor down in Javy. And, that's just it. I'm pretty well done. Everything went together good. It turns over real nice. Now what do I do? Oh yeah, I got a big block 402 to build. Oh. Well, anyway, next video you see will probably be me doing some cleaning up on that Javelin. We got to get that engine and bay and everything all done. Yeah. So we'll get it cleaned up, maybe spritz some anti-rust crap. That I don't know. But I need to get that done, and I need to get a new flex plate. Then we can get it in there, and I'm going to fix some transmission leaks that I found. Front pump seal not leaking, rest of the thing leaking. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, maybe join the Angry Mick Club, because there's going to be a whole lot of stuff that I'm going to put on there that you didn't see on this build. I'm probably going to try to collaborate all together, stick it on there. It's $1 a month. It helps me build these things, okay? Anyway, like, subscribe, notification. See you next time. Peace out. Whatever.